Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the introduction of directed writing video. I'm going to introduce first language English 0500 directed writing question to you. Today I'm going to consider three things. What is directed writing? Why do you do it? How do you approach a directed writing question? Coming to our very first question, what is directed writing? As the name directs, it means the examiner gives specific directions which should be followed considering the given genre. Today, I will be using the analogy of sports, its types, and of course the set rules to explain what is meant by specific directions and given genre. Consider a football team field in this regard. Specific directions are the rules which one must follow in order to score. If you play out of the given boundary, then it will be considered a foul. Secondly, genre is just different or varied forms of sports like football and basketball. Apparently, both courts appear quite similar, but one knows it is very different from each other. They are utterly different from each other and follow different set of rules. This is exactly what genre is. If directed writing is an umbrella term, then genre, just like sports, then genre is the if sports is the umbrella term for different sports like football and basketball, then directed writing is an umbrella term where different genres like speech, letter, and article come into play. Again, what is directed writing? You have another catch over here, which is reading and analyzing two contrasting texts. It means that you also have to develop an argument after being given one or two contrasting texts. Consider two different teams, Team A and Team B. It is just like two contrasting texts, text A and text B. When you want to talk about the strengths of text A, you cannot forget the strengths of text B. It means Team A, if you want to say that Team A is better than Team B, and you formulate an opinion about it, then you must think of the strengths of both Team A and Team B, put them side by side, and develop an argument in a way to persuade the reader that Team A is better than Team B. This is just like two contrasting texts. I'm going to use an analogy of teams in this regard, and I'm going to show it to you in a while. So it means that you will be doing the following things in a directed writing: reading the question to determine the purpose and genre. We are going to have a separate video on purpose, by the way. Choosing and evaluating the contrasting text. It means that you have evaluated whether team A is better than team B. So you will be contrasting there because there will be two texts. So one or two texts. So you will be evaluating the text. It means that you will be judging information, assessing its worth, and then responding to it. Expressing your opinion, but in relation to the provided text. It means that both the teams are there. You have already formed an opinion that team A is better than team B, but you cannot do this without evaluating the provided information about both the teams. Then, writing while considering the demands of the specific genre mentioned in the question. Because I've told you that the genre is just like two different sports like football and basketball. These have different set of rules, so you cannot apply same rules to both to football and to the basketball. You have to, if you want to play either, you have to follow the specific rules of that particular sport. I'm going to show you the syllabus instructions of directed writing question. By the way, I have taken these for 2027 syllabus, but if you are going to prepare for 2026, I'm going to tell you the difference. Section A directed writing will be of 40 marks, and you have to write between 250 to 350 words. Candidates answer one question which has two parts, 1A and 1B. This is based on one or two texts totaling 550 to 650 words in length. Basically, these instructions are for candidates who want to appear for 2027 syllabus. Question A is a structured question that allows candidates to analyze, evaluate, and demonstrate their understanding of the text. It is of 5 marks. I'm going to explain it to you in a while. And then question 1B is basically the question that 2026 candidates are going to appear, and it will be having instead of 35 marks, it will be having 40 marks for them, because from 2027 onwards, the directed writing question has been divided into two parts. Now I'm going to read the instruction in question 1b. Candidates choose, develop, and evaluate the information in the text to create a discursive, argumentative, and persuasive in the form of a speech, letter, article, and report. By the way, these three types of essays, if you do not know them, then you won't be able to write a directed writing answer. Why? Because discursive leads to argument, and argument leads to persuasion. I'm going to show you how. Discursive is A discursive essay tends to educate the reader through the facts. In this essay, various aspects of the topic are presented through balanced analysis. It means that both the texts are there. You will try to find the facts for a specific purpose, which has already been mentioned in the question. You will try to find the facts according to the question. For example, why the goalkeeper of team A is better. Then you will try to find the facts about both the goalkeepers of team A and team B. And finding these facts means that you are basically, this is called discursive essay, where you tend to find the facts in order to support your argument. Then comes the argumentative, whereas in an argumentative essay, the writer attempts to persuade the reader by taking a clear stance, by again using balanced argument. Here, you already have the facts, but now you are going to place the facts either as advantages or disadvantages, or probably one advantage, one disadvantage, side by side. It depends how you are going to stack your argument, how you are going to structure your argument in order to support your facts. And finally comes the persuasion. However, in a persuasive essay, through the combined knowledge gleaned from both discursive and argumentative essay, the writer tends to persuade by using emotional appeal and rhetorical devices. We are going to deal with these devices in detail when we will be when we will be doing different genres. Okay, now let's look at the question 1b. Why am I doing 1b first? Because 2026 candidates will be appearing only for 1b. However, from 2027 onward, 1a and 1b, both question will come into play. Write an article. Now you already know the genre. You know your playing field. Your playing field is article. You have to use the rules of an article in order to write. Write an article offering advice to young people who are about to join the workplace. Use your own words to write your article based on what you have read in both text A and text B. It means that you are going to analyze or evaluate text A and text B. It means judging the information, assessing its worth, and then responding to it. In your article, you should outline the different attitudes to teamwork and competition people may have. This is basically discussion and argumentative. Explain some of the challenges young people might face in different kinds of places. This is forming an opinion. This is persuasion. You have already, by the way, this is argument and persuasion together. And how best to deal with them. Write about 250 to 350 words. Up to 10 marks are available for reading and 25 for writing. If I try to by the way, divide this marking, then it means 10 marks for discursive, finding the facts. You are analyzing the text. And then 10 marks for developing the argument and 15 for your persuasion. I'll show you this. In discursive, you will be reading a text for overall meaning. You just found the facts out something according to the purpose, by the way. Exploring the details of the text and different points that are made. You understand that their positives and negatives both are given, and you identify the positive and tend to differentiate them from the negatives. Then you stack the acquired information in order to form an argument. It's not like that obviously in the text all the points will be placed in a haphazard manner. This is not how you are going to write. You are going to develop an argument. You are going to think of a structure. Do you want to place the positives and negatives side by side, or do you want to talk about positives first and then negative? By the way, I'm going to explain it in one of my videos. evaluation of the text. I'm going to explain it to you with the help of an example. And then you have to show both sides of the picture. It means that there are contrasting views and you have to show both the contrasting views and formulate your opinion at the same time. Which side do you want to lean on to? Persuasive is giving your thoughts on the ideas presented while using persuasive techniques. You have already formulated an opinion over here, because your argument, development of your argument will show where you are leaning. Are you leaning towards positive or are you leaning towards negative? For example, if you talk about extreme sports, do you support extreme sports, or do you dislike extreme sports? So you are going to formulate your argument, you are going to structure your argument, and then you are going to use your persuasive techniques. I'm going to show you question 1A now. We are done with question 1B, because in the 1B, I told you to first read the question, then think about the facts, think about both sides of the facts, restructure them or stack them according to the way you want them to, and then finally write it using the persuasive techniques. Now coming to question 1A. Question 1A is very, very simple, by the way. You don't need to worry if you're appearing in 2027 exam. You don't need to worry about it at all. I'm going to read it for you. Reread this extract from text B. I would work for months to cultivate one prospective client, explains Jazz. Everyone knew winning a big order from that client could be a deciding factor in which of us from the international sales team got promoted. In which one of us, I believe. I think there is an omission over here. Then I discover from a junior colleague that Ravi is also trying to net this wealthy individual, even though Ravi knew I was already in pursuit. I knew if I ignored the situation, he would just steal the deal, profiting shamelessly from all my slaving away, and our boss would promote Ravi. But if I directly confront Ravi, it could have made me look petty and selfish. At the time, I calculated the best way to fight back was to be just as devious as Ravi. Use your own words to evaluate Jazz attitude. Over here, the key word is definitely attitude to work. How does Jazz take the work to be? Give details from the text to justify your answer. It is just like the analysis question which you do in by the way, paper 1. Over here, if you look at it, I would work for months to cultivate one prospective client. It shows how determined Jazz is. It's a 5-mark question, so you should be having at least 3 attitudes in order to support in order to support the marking scheme. So first you will say Jazz is an extremely determined person, as she has worked, I'll start the inverted commas from here, work for months to cultivate one prospective client. It shows that how rigorously she works and wants to put in her best in order to excel at the work. And then you will talk about how careful she is, how thoughtful she is, and then by the way, go for the same for the explanation of thoughtfulness and for carefulness. Of course, you cannot do it without picking the examples from over here, because if you look at it, that she is very careful in her pursuit, that she if in her pursuit, if I knew I ignored the situation, he would just steal the deal, so seal the deal. So she is very careful about it. She's very thoughtful about it. Why thoughtful? Because she wants to act in the same devious manner as Ravi does. She's very wise. So you are going to explain it in this manner. This is only a 5-mark question, so it is very easy question. At the same time, it's just like an analysis question. Only you just need to think of the attitude. Okay, why do we do a directed writing question? The answer is very simple. Cambridge wants you to be prepared for the real life situation. This was just like a narrative essay. Narrative essay, if it is written about unrealistic elements, it is not you are not able to gain much marks. In the same manner, in real life, you formulate or develop an argument after reading or experiencing something. Whenever you go to a sports field, You experience something and you develop, by the way, your argument whether you want to support a team A or team B. It is just like that. In real situation, you also tend to evaluate the bias. Which team you like, why do you like it? If it is not your country's team, if you like another team, then there may be involved a bias. You have to evaluate the bias at the same time. We are going to talk about this in detail when we will be, by the way, discussing the individual question. In other words, you tend to rely upon the experience or writing to fetch facts or sometimes examples. Basically directed writing question prepares you for real life situation where you are put in different sets of situation or under different umbrella. For example, if you're in office, sometimes you face your boss, sometimes your client. So it means that you are experiencing different situations at the same time. You will require different set of knowledge and examples and language in order to in order to satisfy that person. So basically a directed writing question helps you to develop an argument, how to find the facts, how to structure the facts, and then how to persuade the person who is in front of you. Here you do the same as after reading the text. You attempt to write clearly about facts you have gone through and share your thoughts, feelings, and ideas in other ways, in the ways which others can understand. So how do you approach a directed writing question? Answer is very simple. Remember, you have been giving specific genre and audience in the question. Now you will be using already evaluated points from the given text or text to either persuade or inform your audience. Audience is very important over here. I'm going to make a separate video upon audience. And then the first bullet point requires to write discursively, evaluating the ideas you have read about. The second bullet points instruct you to take a viewpoint, developing the argument. You have already decided team B probably is better than team A. Now I am doing it other way around. If team B is better than the team A, then why? You have already found the facts about it. Now you are going to develop the argument. You are going to structure your argument in a manner that the other person can understand it. Of course, you are going to use persuasive techniques if you really want to persuade the person, if you really want to convince the person, while keeping in mind the purpose and the audience. Summary of directed writing is very simple. First step is to collect the facts from the text, discursive. Next, we organize the facts in a balanced argument showing both sides of the picture, positive and negative. For example, positive or negative points for the text. It means if we want to argue, we must show a comparison. Why something is better than the other. We do not present only positive or negative points, rather we tend to balance it out by reconstructing the points or restructuring the point. Now we will persuade by using genre-specific persuasive techniques, and that is the end of directed writing video. I hope that you have enjoyed it and you have learned from it. Thank you for being with me.